Ever since the age of about 15, I knew that I wanted to be successful. I was quite competitive in high school, and the idea of living the average life deeply terrified me. The concept of making 50K a year, barely having enough money to scrape by, not being able to do what you want, and having some fat boss tell you what you can and can't do, and then showing up to work at the same time every day, trying to get along with coworkers that you don't give two shits about. I hated that concept. And in fact, I hated it so much after doing it with a couple different jobs that I found a way to get myself out of that trajectory to where I am today, where I live in my dream penthouse in Tampa Bay, Florida. I have enough money to pretty much do whatever I want when I want. I can't just go like buy a yacht whenever I feel like it, but I'm at a point where like logically I can spend money on things and not have to worry about the price and the bills and stuff like that. And most importantly of all, I have the freedom to work when I want. Like today, I literally woke up, played 3 hours of tennis, and like now it's 3 o'clock and I'm filming this video right now. And the main thing that actually allowed me to do this and get to this point was tricking my subconscious mind into becoming the person I am today. And that's what I'm going to try to break down and explain to you guys in this video today, because if you steal this and if you use this to your advantage, you might just be able to change your life with it. So the format that we're going to be following in this video is that your perception creates your decisions create your actions, and your actions create your results. So if you're looking to get more results, which is probably why you clicked on this video, you need to take better actions. But in order to take better actions, you need to make better decisions. And in order to make better decisions, you need to make sure your perception of the world is in alignment with you becoming that person and getting to where you want to be at the end of the day. So let's start off with perception. And this was big for me because I first had to rewire my brain completely into understanding that money is literally everywhere. Like when I first tried to start making money online, I failed with a couple of different stuff. And a lot of that was because I thought money was scarce. I thought that there's not that much money and there's not enough to go around, and that not everybody can be rich. And by the way, not everybody can be rich at the exact same time, but anyone can be rich. And so I had that like confused. I was like, dude, how am I going to be able to escape out of the like middle class or, lower class or whatever? But here's what I realized at 19 that completely changed everything while I was working as a lifeguard and I was still in college. Every single day, millions of transactions are happening online. Like millions. Every Instagram story you see, every YouTube ad you see, every email in your inbox, you might not be clicking on that stuff, but someone else is. And somebody is making money in that thing and from that thing. I used to scroll on Instagram seeing all these like young entrepreneurs on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. And I think, oh, they're just like lucky or they just had rich parents. And that was my old perception that was keeping me broke. It was keeping me not making the right decisions, not taking the right actions, and therefore not getting the results that I wanted. And so the new perception I had to adopt was if a 22-year-old with no degree can make 50K per month online, then money isn't the problem. There has to be something else that is stopping me from being able to do the same thing. And I had the realization that that was skills. And that shift for me changed everything. Instead of seeing all these successful people online as like lucky or they had rich parents or whatever as just like a fluke, I started seeing them as more and more proof of what actually could be possible. And instead of making excuses like 99% of the people in the world do, I started asking, what do they know and what skills do they have that I currently don't possess? I vividly remember in 2021 scrolling through TikTok and I saw some video about some guy talking about like drop shipping and how to make money with it. And I was watching this kid at first, like I'd probably seen a couple prior and I was like, this is all just like a scam. But I was watching this kid, probably younger than me, talking about making 30K a month from doing that thing. And my first thought was like, bullshit, right? Some fucking 19-year-old kid. There's no way he's making 30K per month. But then I caught myself thinking and I'm like, wait, does this belief, does this perception, is this conducive to me actually getting to that point at the end of the day? What if he's actually telling the truth? What would I need to do in order to learn that? And just this line of thinking actually opened up the possibility in my mind that I could actually succeed, and it helped me start heading in the right direction. Now, after kind of uncovering that money is everywhere and that money isn't scarce, another thing I had to realize was the people I was surrounding myself with at the time was not going to be conducive to me getting to where I wanted to be at the end of the day. And this will probably relate with a lot of you guys. When I was in college trying to make money online because I knew I wanted to be successful, the people around me were literally just like going out every single weekend, getting drunk, going to parties. And I would join once in a while, but I really didn't like fuck with that life at all. I was quite literally hanging around people that all their objective was just to pass their classes and have a fun time. And you see, when you surround yourself with people like that are extremely low in ambition, or at least they're just procrastinating that ambition, still, you don't want to do it. Because people who were excited about just making enough money to just get an entry-level internship and entry-level positions and making $50K a year, these people aren't the people that are going to allow you to get to the place where you're making 100K, 200K, 300K, 500K, $1 million a year. You see, your environment is programming you every single day. And if you do nothing about it, then it's just going to shape you into whoever it decides and whoever you surround yourself with. If everybody around you thinks that being broke is normal and that having $5,000 in their checking account is normal, then you will think that's normal as well and you'll stay broke. If everybody around you complains about money and complains about the rich getting richer every day and all this stuff, you'll complain about that same thing too. You will be just like them. I had to completely shift who I was surrounding myself with and who I was with. And honestly, I had to cut off a lot of people. I had to cut off people that weren't going to be conducive for me getting to where I want to be at the end of the day. And that might sound selfish, but in reality, if you don't do it, you're just going to get washed up like everyone else does. I stopped hanging out with people that had no ambition, and I started instead, since I didn't have too many friends in person that were ambitious as me, I started trying to become friends with these people online. And that might sound a little crazy, but there's an entire world out there of people that are online that are just as ambitious as you. And even if you can't find these people immediately, what you can do instead is you can start replacing these friends that are literally like bums. You can start replacing them with watching content of people that are already rich and are very ambitious. Don't replace it with like going back and watching a ton of Netflix, but replace it with watching somebody who's like actually going to be conducive to help you get to where you want to be at the end of the day. I literally unfollowed like so many people on Instagram that I just didn't care about anymore. And instead I started following successful entrepreneurs. Like if you go to my Instagram right now, you're going to see mainly the people that I follow outside of maybe just a couple close friends are all going to be rich and successful business owners. And this decision of just changing who you're surrounding yourself with will lead you in the right direction where you can eventually start joining communities of young men that are just as ambitious as you, but it's online. And when you start reaching out to successful people, you start asking questions, you start offering value to people, you start connecting with like-minded individuals that are just like you. This is what allows you to actually start believing in yourself that you can actually do it. Imagine you met a friend right now and he was making $10,000 per month and he acted just like you. He was like, he had the same thoughts, he watched the same stuff, and he was like literally like a friend. Then your line of thinking would transition to like, if he can do it, why can't I? And that starts the process of you actually becoming successful. You see, for me in my life, I'm surrounded with people that make anywhere from 10K per month to 50K per month, or sometimes even more than that. And to me, that becomes the new normal. It's like, if I see a guy making 50K per month and he's just like me, he acts just like me, and he's not doing anything too fancy, I'm like, well, shit, why can't I do the same? The third perception that I had to learn and realize was that skills pay the bills, not your degree. And you see, everybody talks about you need a degree, you need experience, this, that, and that can be partially true in some instances, especially if you're going to be like a doctor, lawyer, engineer. But for me, I started noticing that the real people that had all the money, that were making a lot of the money outside of like the doctor, lawyer, engineer, they weren't the ones with the best GPAs. They were the ones with the most valuable skills. And so I had to reprogram myself to think from the mindset of like, a degree gets you a job. A skill gets you paid. Because think about it. If you're just working some regular job and you're better than your coworkers, you're still probably going to get paid the same or relatively the same. But if you instead focus on acquiring high income skill sets, like sales is a great example of this, you can get yourself into a position where if you suck, you make like 3K per month. But if you're really, really good, you're making 10, 20, 30K per month. And I started to realize this a little bit, especially when I started turning 20. I was sitting in my college classes. I was learning theory from a professor who had never actually built a business and was never actually successful himself. Meanwhile, when I would open up my phone, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, I would see kids online that were my age or even younger sometimes, making more than my professor made in a year. They would make that in a month. And that's when I realized that the education system is pretty much complete dog shit. It's really designed to just create employees. And if you're just comfortable living like the average life, fair enough to you. I have the utmost respect. People like that need to exist in this world. But if you're somebody that knows, like deep down, you're meant for more, when your head hits the pillow at the end of the day, you're like, fuck, I could be doing so much more. If that's you, the education system is not designed for people like you. It teaches you to follow instructions, not to actually think for yourself. And understanding this led to me prioritizing skill development over everything else. Instead of studying for tests that didn't actually matter, I started studying on like reviewing my sales calls and improving my communication ability and learning how to objection handle and stuff like that. Learning from people who were already successful. They were already making 15, 20K per month online, and they were passing down information. The act of treating skill development like a full-time job is the thing that will genuinely change your life. And while my friends were out there partying, I was practicing. I was locked in. And this might sound corny, but there were multiple nights where I stayed up super, super late on Friday nights, Saturday nights, when I damn well could have been out there partying, but instead I was locked in because I understood that skills equals money. And that was my perception, which therefore led me to the decision of locking in instead of going out and partying and doing the action of practicing my sales script, which got me to where I am today. The fourth perception, and this is arguably the most important one, is that comfort is not good and it's your enemy. Most people are addicted to comfort. If you think about it, like they want guarantees, they want safety nets, they want predictable outcomes. They just want to lay on their couch with a blanket over them and relax. But here's what I learned. Everything that you want is on the other side of comfort. It's in discomfort. The money you want, the freedom that you want, the life that you want, it is all in the zone of being uncomfortable. And I had to rewire my brain to see pain and discomfort and agony as a signal that I was growing and that I was doing the right thing. So I would often see pain as like, I don't want to do it. It's like when you're taught as a kid, don't touch the hot stove. And that's like good. Obviously you don't want to like die, right? But you need to treat pain, especially in like gym and like staying up late and like working and stuff like that. You need to treat that sort of pain, and also the pain of you being like, fuck, I got to get out of this shitty situation. That pain is actually what's going to allow you to get to the next level. Like when I first started doing high ticket sales, I had to jump on my first sales call knowing damn well that I wasn't going to be that good yet. And I was completely terrified. But I understood right before actually jumping into that meeting, I was like, this is going to be uncomfortable. This is probably not going to be the best. I'm probably going to stumble over my words and, not perform the best, but it's what I need to do to get to where I want to be at the end of the day. And the faster I get this one out the way, the faster I can move on to the next one and improve. And so my heart would race, my palms were sweaty, all that's fun stuff. But like, I understood that I just had to fucking do it. And there's a certain point where it's like, if you just remain in the same situation over and over, you eventually have to get to a point where it's like, fuck, I got to break out of this shitty situation and I got to do something that's going to push me into my uncomfort zone. The act of putting myself in intentional discomfort every single day turned into what was a daily practice. For a long time, that was doing cold outreach, getting rejections from people, taking sales calls, building my skills, saying no to all the bad vices and all the partying and stuff like that, going to the gym. And so even today, I had a super chill day so far, but I played 3 hours of tennis out in the Florida heat. That is not comfortable. And the more and more you do stuff like that, even if it's on a small scale or a big scale, you're going to start to put yourself in the right direction with where you want to be at the end of the day. I've talked to a lot of people that understand deep down that they need help in going from, making no money to getting to 10K per month or even higher than that. And they understand that they need help and they need mentorship to get there. The problem is a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to spend $1,000 or $2,000 investing into myself and my own skills. But what you don't realize is that when you make that investment, it truly is just like a commitment to yourself that you're going to show up and do the work every single day. And what it's actually going to do as well is it's going to put you in a worse situation, right? You're having to spend money. It's going to put you in a worse situation to where now you're uncomfortable, and it's going to force you to do better. There were multiple instances throughout my journey where I got to a certain point that wasn't where I wanted to be yet. But let's just say for the example of this, I wanted to make 10K per month and I was at 8K per month. There was often a bunch of times where I actually had to spend money and put myself into a worse position, take one step back to make myself uncomfortable enough to get to that next level. So if you actually want to shift your subconscious mind and you want to get to the point where you become that version of yourself that you want to be, here's what you can actually do. So step one is you need to shift your identity. Stop saying, I want to be successful, and start saying, I am successful. Stop identifying yourself as like some broke college student or some guy that's working some minimum wage job, and start identifying yourself as somebody who actually can be successful, and you're just getting started. Another thing that you can do, and this kind of goes into step two, is daily programming every single morning. You see, you were programmed by the education system. So what you have to do now is you have to unprogram yourself and program yourself into the right way. So what I used to do a ton is just like 15 minutes or so every morning of just consuming content from people who were where I wanted to be. And this is like inspiration. And this was able to help me quite a bit because I started to see myself in their shoes. Step three is that you have to intentionally design your environment. I changed everything in my environment to support my new identity and my new goals. So my phone wallpaper became my income goals. And this might sound corny to you guys, but if this is, just get the fuck off this video. My Instagram feed, instead of being filled with all these like P stars and all these naked models and all this stuff, I changed it to constantly seeing success, whether it was gym content, fitness content, or it was people driving like nice cars or just whatever. Honestly, just surrounding your feed with things that are actually going to be conducive to where you want to be at the end of the day. And then step four is just taking consistent action every single day. And for me, when I first got started with making money online, I made a commitment to myself that I would take at least one action every single day, no matter if it was a Sunday, no matter if I had a birthday, no matter if I was traveling, whatever the excuse, whatever could stop you from doing it, I promised myself that I would at least do one thing every single day that would move me closer and closer to my goals. Even if it was just sending one fucking message, one cold message, watching one sales training video or something like that, you need to focus on progressing every single day. And like, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, this isn't gonna be easy. Like rewiring your brain goes against everything that society has programmed you to believe up until this point. Your friends might think you're crazy. Your family might tell you to be realistic and stop chasing all these goals. People will try to pull you back into this old lifestyle, into mediocrity, because your success makes them uncomfortable. People want to see you win, but they don't want you to pass them up. But here's what I know after going through this myself. Like the pain of discipline, it definitely hurts, but it's nowhere near the pain of regret. You can either spend your 20s like building the life that you actually want, or you can spend your 30s regretting that you didn't lock in and didn't focus in your 20s. So if you're somebody that's ready to lock in and ready to commit to yourself and you want to get to the point where you're making 5 to 10K per month online so that you don't have to rely on the shitty ass education system or working some like entry level job, I work with students one-on-one and I help them get into doing high ticket sales. If you don't know what high ticket sales is, go check out some of my other videos first before even listening to the end of this. But if you're somebody that understands that you need to work with somebody who's already gone through the exact thing that you're looking to do, then this is the perfect opportunity for you, because I work with students one-on-one and I hold their hand through the entire process of them getting to 10K per month online. If you're interested in that, you can book a call with myself down below and you can get more information around that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though. Hopefully this was able to give you some insight on what it actually takes to be successful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.